My man, Paul, thank you so much for coming on the Winner's Paradigm podcast, brother. It's been some time that I've been trying to get you booked. Our schedules finally aligned, but
Absolutely.
you're one of the dudes that I started following through TikTok, brother. And I was like, man, I love your story. I love how powerful it is. But you can see in a man when they've changed, they become a better person and how they show up in life. So before we jump into it today and get ahead of myself, would you mind giving a brief intro of who you are, what you're passionate about today, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Coach Paul. I am an online fitness coach. I work primarily with busy moms that want to lose 20 plus pounds while at the same time not doing excessive time in the gym, not a bunch of cardio. And I don't tell none of my clients to give up carbs because you deserve to have pizza with your kids from time to time. And then I'm a motivational speaker as well. I specialize in speaking to the at-risk youth or anyone relevant to at-risk youth. That could be parents, teachers, judges, lawyers, DAs, police officers, anyone that has a direct effect upon the youth. And that's because I was an at-risk youth myself. I grew up in a broken home. Mom's struggled with drug addiction. Dad, was old school. So he believed in spankings and a little bit more aggressive punishments when you misbehave. And so I, developed this feeling of not feeling worthy, not feeling loved growing up. So by the time I was 15 years old, I started indulging in drugs as well. Started surrounding myself with criminal individuals and criminal organizations. And because of that, from the age of 15 to 18, I was either homeless, I was in juvenile hall, I was in boys' homes, mental hospitals a couple times, acting a fool. Most of my teen years were spent incarcerated in some sort of facility. And then when I turned 18, I started going to jail, hit prison for the first time. I was like 19 or 20. I got out, tried to get my life in order, but I hadn't really done any work on myself. And so I was like still that same person within. I just thought on the outside, like if I got a job and I went to school and got a girlfriend and this and that, like that would make a change. But in reality, it didn't. And within 9 months, I ended up committing a crime where I was looking at 27 years in prison. And I ended up with 10. I did my 10. And now I'm out here, been out over 5 years, just building an empire, man. I do online fitness coaching, motivational speaking, and I'm just on this huge mission to impact the world.
Hell yeah, brother. And I love that about you. Number one, first and foremost, is with all that you went through, you can tell the pain. You can tell about the work that you put in. And I love when you share that. I love when you're posting your burpees every fucking day. And I'm like, man, if this dude's doing it, and two, you can see that the mindset, is you've developed that. You went through that suck. You've went through that tough time. You went to prison. You figured out how to change your life around. And what was that man you admire? And I want to start there, brother. What was it like initially when you started getting sober? You were focusing on building that man you admire so you can start being more present in life.
I love that question. That's great. So I would say it was really a slow progression at first, and then it was like that snowball effect, and I just took off, right? And so what I mean by that slow progression is, throughout my 10 years in prison, there were moments where I was actively working on certain things that I believed would make me a better person. Physical fitness was always part of it. So for me, I was like, if I'm healthy and fit and I look good with my shirt off, like that would help me feel better about myself, which it did. Self-esteem plays a huge role in so many of our lives. And then I was like taking college classes, doing correspondent college classes. I had this mindset that if I got a degree, that would make me smarter. That would make me a better member of society. All these good things that a lot of people actually believe, which I now see for me was a self-limiting belief, that I was limiting my abilities by thinking I needed an education in order to be successful, which turned out not to be true. And for me, at least, it turned out not to be true for me. I'm just speaking my truth. But it wasn't until August of 2017 where I was just like hit the ground running, like, nah, fuck this, I'm all in, right? And what sparked it was, in California, when you're incarcerated, you do a percentage of your time based upon good behavior. And so I did 6 months in my county jail fighting my case. That was dead time. It didn't count for nothing. And I got sentenced to 10 years. I was supposed to do 85%, so I should have done 8.5 years. And what ended up happening was I was messing up. I was getting in fights. I was getting high. I got caught with like different contraband. I went to the hole a couple times, which is administrative segregation. Like I wasn't a ideal citizen even while incarcerated. And because of that, I had extended my stay, and I had actually extended my stay for like, I was going to end up doing 10 and a half off a 10-year prison sentence, which is like, what the hell? And so August 1st, 2017, my release date came. My release date left because I wasn't going home. And I continued to get high, and I continued to get in trouble there in the facility I was at. And I just got to this point where I was like sick and tired of it, bro. Like I was just like, I looked at myself in the mirror, my cheeks were all sunken in. I was like angry all the time. I like frown marks on my, and I was like, bro, you look like you about 60 years old right now, you know? Like, and I was like, if I keep going this route, and I remember having this thought, man, that I was going to get out of prison and go back to what I knew. Go back to the gang life, go back to the drug life, go back to trying to hustle and do all this stuff that I was doing. And I'm a 2-striker. I'm a violent offender, which means in California, 3 strikes is a life sentence. And at that point, I was like, I'm not willing to do life, so I'd rather die. You know, so like I literally had this goal. It's weird to say it as a goal when I talk about goals. You know, like my goal at that point was to get out, try to be the best drug dealer kingpin I could. And when I got pulled over and potentially get arrested, have a shootout with the police, and I'm dead. And then my story's over. The book for Coach Paul, or Paul, when it wasn't Coach Paul. Yeah, right. It's over. And so during the month of August, I was in this internal turmoil and mental turmoil. And man, I just woke up one morning, saw myself in the mirror, and it's just like, man, it's time to change. It's time to change. And then I just started hitting it hard, bro. Like I went all in on it. And my shirt right here says, I'm all in, right? Like it's a reminder, you know, like I went all in.
Hell yeah, brother. I love that so much. And honestly, my favorite people to interview, like I know I went in the Marine Corps, and I was fortunate, you know, I was really the middleman directing people and just being fucking stupid. I had all the friends, I had connections, and how that started was one of my cousins was strung out on meth and used to send his dealer after him because he couldn't pay up, and fucking then he started being a bulldog and banging. And then my friends came after me and was like, hey, bro, your cousin's claiming some shit. Are you about it? And I was like, nah, man, I ain't about that shit. You know, because first I heard the where you from, and then I was like, who the fuck's this dude? And I was like, nah, man, I don't bang, you know? So for me, it was going through those things. And my favorite people, to sum that up, is people who've been to prison and have done that, because they're always coming with a different light and they have a better perspective on light. And the one thing that I love about you guys is just how passionate you guys are about what you do. But more importantly, you guys understand that you have one fucking life. Like everybody out here is playing these fucking games, smoking weed, doing dumb shit, thinking that we can just do whatever the fuck we want to do. And then it doesn't align to that. In my old business partner, Zach Babcock, I flew out to St. Louis and I was hanging out with this guy. It was
right there.
Yeah, that dude's funny as fuck. And it didn't work out on the partnership, but I love that dude. Great human being. Business-wise, didn't work out, you know, and I was pretty pissed off after, because we're in St. Louis first event, and I was having a good time with him. And it was funny because the dude's just like a fucking clown. Like he's just a really nice fucking guy. And it was funny because we're talking or whatever, and then he was saying like how prison was for him. And he was saying in Missouri, how different in the same.
Someone's knocking on my door, bro. I apologize.
No worries, brother.
My bad, bro.
Man, y'all hear it. You can tell how Paul is, and really that frequency that he elevates on. And I think that's the power about having the people who understand the opportunity, everything that's what's going on in their life, is they're going to put that work in. They're going to share those stories. They're going to heal themselves and bring that best to the world. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't understand what it means, you know, to have the freedom taken away, to be going through the suck, to feel like things are harder for yourself, and that people don't understand. And then the power that comes behind it when you rise above that, you go all in, like Paul said, you show up and you be that best you can be. So, man, I appreciate you, brother. I'll sum up the story about Zach, but I was talking with him and it was funny. Yeah. And it was funny because we were having that conversations about All In, and we're showing about tattoos, and he was talking about how he got all his work done in there. And I was like, man, that shit's cool. You know, I got mine. And he was like, yeah, you got it professionally done. We start talking about things, and it was just the same things as like everybody's went through similar situations. And if you're not ready, you don't got that mindset strapped on. And I was talking about, for me, one thing, even to this day, you know, I go to Fresno and I got the head on a swivel and I'm looking because people are just fucking staring at you, mean mugging. Over there they say dogging, but I don't like using that word. And fucking, they look at you crazy, and then all of a sudden some shit's about to pop off. And for me, I was so reactionary because of the situations of everything around me, that when I started getting into better places, better rooms, I started thinking motherfuckers are attacking me all the time based off of how they're looking at me, the respect levels, because respect means everything. And I bet you can attest to that. What was it like for you when you started focusing on that mindset and focusing on all the positive things that came to life versus thinking about the minuscule, stupid shit that we sometimes get hung up on?
That's a great question. it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening, right? Because when I started focusing on the positive and I started focusing on like the things that were actually important in my life and not these ideals that were programmed or preconceived due to the neighborhood I grew up in or the household I grew up in or the older guys I hung out with or the prison mentality. Like when I started to strip all of that away and started to see like what is actually really important, like now I want to put a disclaimer that, or I don't know if disclaimer is the right word to say, but like I learned a lot and I developed some very important skill sets in prison. Okay. There's things that I went through and things that I learned while incarcerated that play a significant role in my success today. And you having a military background, there's a lot of similarities. Me and Zoom talk about that all the time. You know, like there's that military and prisoner background where there's like a lot of similarities between being in prison and being in the military. We just didn't have guns, you know, but like I was saying, so there's a lot of skill sets and thought processes that were developed in there that have been useful, but there's a lot that were in the way. They were hindrances. And so when we talk about comparing ourselves to others, you know, just because someone hasn't gone through the experience I've gone through, they've had lifestyle belief systems and experiences that have hindered their growth. And if they can't overcome those ideas and those belief systems, they're going to continue to fail. And that's what's wrong with our society is people are still stuck in their own ways that aren't working. Like this shit's not working. Why are you still doing it? You know?
No, you're 100% right, brother. And I love that you mentioned that, you know, the similarities. And what's funny for me is I didn't realize that. I thought when I go to the military, it was going to be different. And when I was in boot camp, the drill instructors used to always say, you're trying to get me to unfuck your whole life in 3 months. And I didn't realize that. And when I went to the schoolhouse, we were doing dumb shit. So you'd have fire watch, right? And you'd have 2 hours where you'd be on a post. And we were finding out ways how to make other people do it for us and get us money. So I'm collecting checks, you know, we're doing this thing. And these East Coast guys were like, y'all West Coast motherfuckers are soft. And like literally were punking us. And then these guys that were my friends, you know, were getting punked all the fucking time. And I'm like, y'all don't know where the fuck I'm from. Like that shit's not in. And I'm like, how the fuck do you let somebody punk you? Because it's going to keep happening. So I start fighting, doing the same shit again. And it went into mindset. I literally got in trouble because one kid snitched us out for underage drinking. And I was like, fuck it. Let's get a lawyer. Let's get a legal binding contract. I'm about to beat the fuck out of this fool. And I got in trouble for it. And I'm sitting down and one of them was talking to me and he's like, hey man, you're doing the same shit you were doing on the street. You know, you're instigating, you're talking shit, you're starting shit. He's like, you're a leader. There's more to this. And he's like, yeah, you can always handle business. You can put the dukes up and that's what a man is to you. But a real man is going to be the one who navigates the situation, learns from it and comes with a different light speaking. And I was like, fuck, dude, like that shit hit me because once I got into the military on boot leave, my stepdad thought my mom was having an affair, which came out to be true later on, and shot my wrestling, missed within a centimeter, shooting my wrestling coach who was a CO. And ghetto bird goes over the house, SWAT team goes through the house. And I was very fortunate throughout this time because I de-escalated the situation, almost got arrested because of so much alcohol in the house. Fucking Fresno cops aren't good. So they were fucking rolling in, trying to act tough in fucking
biggest
I'm gonna arrest you. Like, fuck it then. Pussy, arrest me, you know? So I was getting crazy. And then one of them helped me out, was like, hey man, this is it. So after that, I was having violent thoughts. I wasn't talking to my dad. I hit my dad up thinking I was gonna do something stupid. And recently it hit me, you know, 7.5 years later, where I was like, man, I'm so blessed that within that time, I didn't do something stupid. Like I really wanted to end my life over some bullshit. That was a fucking lie that my mom was saying. And if I would have done that, there would have been no military. There would have been no, I would have got kicked out the military. There would have been no fucking podcast. There would have been no helping other men heal, you know, that inner childing wound before. And for me, it was that escapism. You know, I was drinking a gallon of whiskey. I was finding my way out. You know, I was trying to figure out how to party, do whatever it was, because 19 years old, I was my own boss. And it was thinking that, hey, you know, if I can do this, I can work hard, play hard. And it just didn't align me to the things I wanted in life. So for you, brother, you're always talking about being sober and the superpower behind it. And people don't realize these vices, these escapisms that we feed into. How important is it to our success that we remove these vices, remove the things that allow us to escape within life?
I love that question. So I look at it like this, right? We all have a level of skill sets that we've acquired throughout life. Now, if we want to acquire more skill sets, this could be thought process, this could be literal physical skills, this could be knowing new things, information, whatever. There's a limit we put on ourselves when we have any type of mind-altering substance. It's called mind-altering for a reason. It alters your mind, right? So when I stopped using and drinking and using these vices, I stopped escaping. And when I stopped escaping, I started dealing. When I started dealing with things, I was able to overcome them. And then I was able to see true potential within myself. See, so many people are looking outside of themselves, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's food, right? I see a lot of people with food. That's how they're escaping life with food, setting that example for their household, setting that example for their families, feeling sick, feeling sluggish, unable to do the things they need to do in their lives because they're replacing whatever feelings they have going on within with an external source. When you put everything external, you never get to look internal. And if you don't ever look internal, you never overcome, you never become better. You know, like my whole idea is a better you. My businesses are called a better you fitness and becoming a better you, motivational speaking, a better you. It's not about being better than me. It's not about being better than Alondras. It's not about being better than your cousin, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad. Just be better than who the hell you were yesterday, right? And if yesterday you were stuffing your face with McDonald's, then don't do it today, right? And then you just become a little bit better each and every day. But so many people are not becoming better. They're becoming worse because they're filling their bodies with things that are killing them. Once again, drugs, alcohol, sex, food, TV, right? I think everything is cool in a moderation. Like we live in a society where weed is legal. I'm still not a fan of it, but like, cool. You go smoke a joint. If you could just smoke a joint and watch the football game, cool. Most people are smoking blunt after blunt after blunt, just sitting there fucking half, like they don't even know what's going on in the world. You know, like how much time are most people spending scrolling TikTok and Instagram and Facebook while they're high, while they're Netflixing, while they're drinking? Like if you took all that time, you know how many people complain about being broke on this earth and sit there and complain about inflation and gas prices and all this stuff? Cool. How much time do you spend staring at your phone, watching Netflix, smoking weed, sleeping, that you could invest in your fucking future and then you can stop? I don't look at the gas price. I don't know how much gas is. I don't care how much gas is. My car needs to get me somewhere. I'm going. But I work my ass off to make sure I'm in that position, you know, and most people don't, right? Because they're replacing internal things with something external. So they don't even know what's going on within themselves. And then they complain about the whole world's against them. You know, the whole world's not against you because people like you and I have come from a background where the world was slightly against us and we've overcome. So how can the rest of these people say that the world's against them when they're not even taking action for their own selves?
Man. And I feel like you read my fucking mind, bro. I was literally going to talk about your business being a better you, and then you just talked about it. So that was funny. But no, 100% agree with you, brother. And this is where I put my transparency out there. You know, for me, cannabis is part of my journey because I have a lot of injuries from the Marine Corps, osteoarthritis in both of my knees, all my joints. So every morning I'm throwing up. I still get up, go to the gym by 3:30. I do smoke a little bit so I can be able to get some food fucking down because my problem is I wouldn't. But for me, it was learning how to be able to push myself because I fucked up both my knees, need a double knee replacement 5 to 10 years. Back's fucked up from the military, arthritis that's causing me to throw up every fucking morning, migraines all fucking day. So there was days that I was irritable and I was not being the best that I can be. And I went into that, you know, smoking all day, going crazy, and then realizing that I need to be really fucking serious about what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to be doing it and so forth, because that was kind of it. Was one of my buddies thought that I was just smoking weed to smoke weed. Hey, do you want to come over here and smoke blunt after Brett? And I'm like, bro, I'm not going to fucking sit there. I'm not going to watch Netflix. If you see me smoke, I'm out there doing burpees right after. So I started making rules with myself. Like if I have to smoke 300 burpees and then come back inside and do what I got to do. So being more intentional allowed me to break out of that and understand like the purposes of that. And literally now it's like once a month, twice a month, you know, a couple days that week, using it to help me through, you know, the medical process because my body's all fucked up. But it's been awesome throughout that time of being sober and then also, you know, not drinking for over a year and a half now, to where it's like, man, I don't think that, I'm not thinking whatever. And it's funny, you know, like you said, the mindset and where we come from. I had a racist stepdad who fucking hated black people. So it was funny because I never met the black side of my family. So it was always keep it this way. And then the Mexicans were like, oh, you don't speak Spanish, so you're not one of us, but you are one of us. We like having you around. You're a big dude. So it was funny. It's like I was always getting myself in these situations, always thinking about dumb shit, always around people. And even was in Fresno, went to better schools and was still, hey, you're from here. This is where you go. You're hanging out with these people. And it was always just letting labels, letting whatever control me versus me actually being the best me that I can be. So when you talk about a better you fitness, I love that idea, brother. And especially how you're catering it to parents and showing up as the best version of yourselves. I literally talked to you before we even started live streaming, and I was talking about how I was doing burpees to make sure that I was in flow state. And then also my daughter walked up, and then she gets right there and she acts like she's going to do push-ups. And it's setting that mental foundation, that fortitude. And something I've been talking about lately was that rite of passage, where a lot of us as parents don't have the correct rite of passages. Our rite of passage was fucking, oh, you're old enough, you can drink with our parents, you can have a beer, you can have whatever. I think it's cool within moderation, but that's not what happens to us. I was getting fucking faded and blacking out and fucking going crazy, and then found out my boys were fucking, I was like, I love this Sprite. What's in it? You know, and then found out what they were putting in my Sprite, and fucking was just going through all these loops, doing a lot of dumb shit, fighting to where it just didn't serve me. So when you're talking about a better you fitness, we're talking about parents getting healthy. You mentioned being able to fit the lifestyle in our diets. What is that like when you're able to show a parent that they have the power to transition and change their whole fucking life?
It's an amazing feeling and it's an amazing opportunity. And so the reason I say that, right, is because for me, my goal is to impact the youth in a multifaceted way. One way is by helping the parents establish healthy habits, lifestyle changes. They're going to help them move through their lives in a healthier manner, but also set that example for their kids and the rest of their household. Then it's speaking to the at-risk youth with my motivational speaking, and not just the at-risk youth, but anyone relevant to them. Once again, judges, lawyers, police officers, DAs, parents, teachers, anyone that could have an effect upon the youth, right? So my goal is to use these two skill sets of speaking and fitness and nutrition to impact the youth. And so I know that if I stay focused on those goals of impacting the youth, and I can impact as many people as I possibly can, I can create that ripple effect. You know, we live in a society where, you know, our youth they're being taught the wrong things. They're being taught, led down the wrong path. Like, you know, I didn't have the best role models growing up, you know, and my mom and dad and my stepdad, they all did the best they could, right? And there's moments when they were really great role models, but by the time they had changed their lives and made conscious decisions to make some changes, I was already attracted to the people on the streets that weren't doing positive things. And so it was like, I want this validation from this older guy in the neighborhood, and he's like doing X, Y, Z. You should do X, Y, Z, and you'll be a part of the crew and this and that. And that didn't work out very well, right? And so it led me down a dark path. So I believe that if, you know, I'm a firm believer, I did a post on this recently, that like, if you're setting a negative example for your child, that is an irresponsible choice. It is irresponsible to teach your kids that it's okay to do certain things. You know, I actually did a poll one time, and I said, do you guys believe that kids are born racist? And everyone's like, hell no, you can't be born racist. You can't. Well, kids are not born obese either, right? Kids are not born angry and violent either. You know, like my kids, my two stepsons, they'll never see me angry. They'll never see me violent. They'll never see me use drugs or alcohol. You know, they very rarely see me eat anything unhealthy. You know, they still eat all their unhealthy stuff because they're kids, and I'm sitting there eating salads and egg whites and all this stuff, and they're just like, you know, I eat a big ass bowl of salad still, but I'm like really focused on like what the goals are for me, and they see that positive example. And you know, my girlfriend and I, we do martial arts, and the kids do martial arts as well. We have them training. You know, I take the kids out to go play basketball. Like, yeah, they get their little screen time when they behave, but they also got to go out and play some basketball. And we do karate, and we go outside and run around, and like super active in our household. And the reason being is because we want to set that example for them, that positive example. Because we live in a society where kids are being led astray so often. You know, and a lot of times it's the parents. Parents are teaching their kids horrible ways to act, and then the rest of the world's blaming the kid. Like, oh, and this is what happened to me, right? I made a choice, a string of choices based upon what I saw in my household and what I saw on the streets by those that were raising me. And I got locked away for it, and I got treated worse for it. And that led me down a dark path. And I want to stop as many kids from going down that path as possible.
Man, I love that so much. And my apologies. I'm over here putting Baby Shark on the TV. Uh, but it's the power behind that, brother. And I love the way that you said that, you know, and it resonated with me because where I come from, it's do as I say, not do as I do. And for me, my dad was abusive, always beating the fuck out of me till I was 16. And that was part of it. You know, why I looked at the dudes who I had friends that gangbang and slang and whatever, because I didn't go to my parents for money. I didn't go to shit. I was like, fuck y'all, I don't need y'all. I'll figure this shit on my own. And it led me to bad situations, but also good things is I always had people. And I had one buddy who got caught up and had to change his life around. And it was awesome because he went to juvie for a couple years and then had a different light. And I used to always be that one that would get in trouble and fucking get sent in the office with people. And one of the administrators was like, that man's changed. You know, you can tell by the way he is. And he always protected me from shit. So it was awesome because, you know, for me, it was learning how to vet out your people and who you keep around you and everybody that way. And it went into the Marine Corps to where I think things are better. You know, I started getting bigger, taking care of myself. And at Christmas time, me and my dad got into it, pulled knives on each other. He wanted to act crazy and say some shit. And my stepmom's family was gangster. So I was kind of like, why isn't this fool have the green light on him? Like, he's whooped her ass. No one's ever done shit. You know, me and him fist fought in front of them. They didn't do shit. They were just drinking, laughing, thinking the shit was funny. And I was like, nah, be about that shit then. And it was funny because within that day, you know, of that, I no longer got punked by my dad no more. And it changed my life because I started just coming with a different light, you know, and I had that fire and I was like, fuck that, dude. Like, I went through this my whole entire life. It's not going to happen anymore. And the second portion to that was the power behind of just figuring out for me how I need to align. How do I need to be that man I admire? You talked about that as well, you know, is coming from whatever walk of life and that, you know, and the mom side was, oh, you know, we're Mexican. We don't have money. We're middle to low class, like we can afford things. My stepdad was a supervisor and he would just always say dumb shit, you know, and I'd just be like, bro, I don't fucking believe that. Like, I don't believe this is life. I don't believe saying that our race dictates what our physical fitness is and our race is the reason why we're not good. And it was actually pretty funny the other days. I seen that Wes Watson quote and he was like, that people were cutting this shit out, talking about how he's like, Mexicans have bad genetics, and the second portion is because they have the best food on the planet. And I was like, that shit's fucking funny though. Like, people want to cater to and cut out what the fuck you're saying versus look at the whole thing. And it was 100% right. Is like, people do that shit all the time. And not many times you're going to see a motherfucker who's jacked on his diet, whatever. We make excuses. We make things that are culturally okay to where that's not it. And if you do have it riled in, oh, you have ego problems. You think you're better than everybody else. Like, nah, do I think I am? Yeah, you know what I mean? A little bit I do, because I'm like, I know I'm that motherfucker that used to look at myself and would be like, there's no way I can do those things. So yeah, I think I'm better because I put the work in and I've done certain things in certain areas, but it's not that I think I'm better than everybody. I'm better than what I used to be. And that's why I talk to that man who got on his knees praying to God for shit to change, because it's a different fucking light when you feel that. Like for me, I felt and I seen a vision from God that I was just getting fucked up and I was going to die. And it was a vicious death. And I was like, bro, if I'm not fit, if I'm not protecting myself and working on shit, then that's going to come to me. So for me, it was learning that I needed to be better, step up and so forth. So for you, brother, you've been an amazing guest. I'll wrap it with the last question here. What would you say to the previous version of yourself who's looking to align yourself to your definition of success? You don't know where to start. You just want to get that journey to align yourself to your definition of success.
Keep going. That's it. Just keep it simple. I literally have that tattooed on my hands. It says keep going. So when I'm doing burpees, when I'm doing push-ups, it's just like I got that done in prison. So when I'm doing all these burpees, getting ready to get out on the streets, doing, you know, like trying to be a better me, keep going, you know? And the reason why I say keep going is because most people fail because they quit. Most people fail because they quit, right? And if you don't quit, you can do anything. You can do anything. And I share a lot of positive stuff on my social media, but I share the truth too. Like I talk about when things are shitty and I talk about when people do me dirty. And I talk about like things happen. I wake up days, I don't want to do nothing. I'm dealing with a knee issue right now. Like my knee's messed up right now. Like it's like a grapefruit. And man, it's frustrating because I've got these fitness goals that I'm working on, and I have like this vision board with these goals I want to finish the year off, and I'm like looking like I don't know if I'll get there with this injury. But what I do know is I'm not going to stop. I'm not like, I'm hurt, so I can't get there. I'm going to be like, no, I'm going to fucking figure out a way to get there. And if it doesn't happen, at least on January 1st, when everyone else is like, New Year's resolution, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. I'm talking like New Year's resolution, I already fucking did it, right? Or else I got a lot closer than I thought I was gonna get. Or, I got this whole vision board right here. I believe in vision boards. It's my first year ever doing one. It's been a game changer. And I've accomplished almost everything on that vision board. And there's a couple things I'm like really close to that I know even if I don't get there at the end of the year, I can say, I worked my ass off and I got as close as possible to it. And life showed up a couple times, but I kept going. And I tell this to my clients all the time. I've got clients that be struggling and like message me like, Coach, man, I'm just going through this. I'm going through this. I get it. I understand. Keep going. Just don't fucking quit. Okay, you told me what's going on. Go share it in our Facebook group. Go talk to your peoples. Let everyone know. Let us support you. And then keep going. Don't quit. As long as you don't quit, you can't lose. It's like, that's it. Keep going.
Man, I love that so much. And you know what? I'm going to touch on one more point because you talked about vision board. So I'm going to hold that. But I did the same thing, Fuck. So get this on. There we go. I got a coffin tattoo on my hand the other day. And that was the reason why. It's like, bro, you're going to fucking die. And it was funny because I was talking to somebody and they're like, why would you get a coffin on your hand? I'm like, dude, I'm going to fucking die. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you're going to fucking die. You're going to die, and you're going to, if you're a piece of shit still, then no one's going to know, when you die. And they're going to, at your funeral, and for me, I had a dream like that, and then I started writing the eulogy and going through that, and I'm like, fuck, dude, like the last thing I want to do is not live the best I can be, not be as physically fit as possible, not be the best dad and husband, fucking leader that I can be, and then die knowing that well. I had 5 good friends that died. My grandfather died. And it's just something that painted that picture for me where it was just like, how the fuck are you going to live this one life and then be a bitch about it and then not do the shit that you need to do? Because we all have that. And that's something where it's like that inner voice is God. And if you say fuck God, then you're saying fuck everything. And it's just like, man, how are you going to keep living that way? So for me, that is huge. You mentioned the vision board. I seen you get the rover, brother, and you're doing all these amazing things. You're speaking, you're traveling, you're showing up differently, and you're accomplishing those goals. A lot of us, don't even envision that we ever do those things. And like you said, keep going is perfect because it aligns us to that. So for you, brother, last thing here, since you've been tackling all those things and you continually move that bar forward, what is it like for you when you look at life every single day and you set up that framework that every single day is the same, no matter where you are, no matter what's going on, no matter what injury is going on with you?
It gives me room to succeed. It also gives me room to give myself grace, and it gives me the opportunity to pivot when things show up. Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? So my goal is to have such a good plan that when I get punched in the mouth, I have a plan for that as well, right? It's like, I know what I'm going to do if someone punches me in the mouth, right? I know what the next step is. The average human being doesn't. They get punched in the mouth and they're just like, I just got punched in the mouth, or they run, or they fall on the ground and just curl in a ball, just like, not going to happen, right? But I also have been punched in the mouth enough in my life to know what it feels like, and know that, it's survivable, figuratively and, but it's important for us to understand, right, that if you have a plan, it's not always going to go perfect, but at least you have a plan. At least you kind of know, like, okay, cool, like that didn't work, but there's a metric to look at and an adjustment that can be made. Whereas if you don't have a plan, you're just like, I'm going to try whatever, and, this shit doesn't work. Well, how do you actually know it doesn't work when you try to, like, all this random shit? And, I just took on a new client yesterday, right? And we had our first consultation. We were talking, and I was like, all right, so what does your fitness industry, like, what does your fitness look like? So I just go to the gym and just try this machine and that machine and that machine. I'm like, all right, how long have you been doing that? She said 10 years. I said, how's that working? She's like, it's not. Cool. We're going to sign you up for a 16-week program, and I guarantee you in these 16 weeks, you're going to see better results in 16 weeks than you've ever seen in those last 10 years. You cool with that? She's like, yeah. All right, cool. Here's the link. Let's get signed up. Like, I'm going to give you a 16-week program that's going to give you better results than anything you've done in the last 10 years because you've done nothing without a plan. There's no structure. There's no understanding.
Bro, I love that so much. And I literally had a client like that this week who we got on the podcast game, and he's a divorce coach, and he talks to men after becoming the best that they can be. And he was getting people telling him too much bullshit, and he was trying to avoid me. And I was like, no, motherfucker, send me your phone number. Got his ass on the phone. And I was like, bro, I know you're different than everybody else. Why? Because I sent him the invoice, motherfucker paid it, and then we moved on. And he was just like, well, I paid the invoice because I knew that there was value here. And I was like, don't you think that you have value to bring to the table and you're really going to push that to the side? Like, you're helping men change their fucking lives around. So how are we going to live within that, and bitch on that? And then it led me to yesterday to where, one dude I used to always kick it with, he would always say, oh yeah, I'm going to get this 6-pack by this date. And it was never a defiable goal. And I did the same thing, in January. I was like, by December 31st, I'm going to have a 6-pack, and really wasn't doing that great until fucking June. And I was like, I'm going to get a coach, and then got a coach. And then yesterday I got pissed off because, progress is being made. I already lost 35 pounds this year, 25 recently as well. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do some dumb shit fucking bet that I know I'm going to fucking win because I hate it so much that it's going to drive me every single day, 3:30, be in the gym, doing the burpees, doing whatever, cleaning up my diet. So I was like, fuck it. I fucking hate Taylor Swift. When I was out in Kuwait on the radio, the only 2 American songs that they would play was that What Would You Make Me Do song. So I'd fucking lose my mind all the time. I'd hear it like every 5 minutes and I'd be like, fuck, dude, and just getting pissed, right? So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll get a Taylor Swift tattoo if I don't have a fucking 6-pack by December 31st. And I promise you it will happen. I started getting hate comments and somebody was like, you don't know what the fuck to do. I was like, bro, I used to wrestle, cut 30 pounds in 2 days. You can do it. And I go, 2, this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm also going to try new shit. I'm going to go carnivore 10 days before. And then the last 4 days, do a 96-hour fast going into it. Funny thing about me is I don't like fasting because I said I have all the injuries, the migraines. So I get fucking miserable on a fast. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it differently this time. I'm already low on my carbs. I take all my carbs from fucking fruits and vegetables. So I was like, now you're going to see that I'm putting a timetable. I am forcing myself to grow and doing the shit that is required because people don't understand. And you understand, brother, is that forced growth is something that is fucking crazy.
Absolutely.
My man, well, you've been an amazing fucking guest. I really appreciate you, brother. Like I said, eventually we'll get an in-person interview in. But thank you again, brother. It's been an honor.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure as well, brother. Thank you.